Well, okay people, welcome back to the channel. If you have been following my videos, I just finished a series called Don't Tell Me That. It had 3 parts to it, and I did a shallow dive into the 9/11 attacks. In preparing for those videos, it would raise my blood pressure, but I would get so ill and upset because it seemed like if I did happen to find an answer or a conclusion to a question, that only opened up the door to 5 more questions that I couldn't find answers to. If you hadn't seen Don't Tell Me That series, you might want to check that out. You don't have to in order to watch this new series I'm starting. Today's going to be the first video in the new series that I'm starting, but I am continuing with the theme of conspiracy theories. Title of the next series will be Who Exactly Are They? Simply because anytime conspiracy theorists talks about any subject, any topic, you'll always hear the word they, those people, them. Who are you talking about? Individually speaking, who are you saying they are? Who are you saying them are? So in this series, we're going to see if we can put specifics to who's responsible for the subjects that we're covering. And the subjects that we're going to be covering in this new series, Declassified Project. In their own omission, these are going to be cases that the United States government specifically has recorded evidence for that's been declassified. We're going to be embarking on the deep state. In this series, we're going to be taking a look at the deep state / black projects that have been declassified, and like I said, by the United States government's own omissions, the recorded evidence to support these projects. So there's just no way that makes sense, or there's no way this could happen, or whatever the case is. I hope it changes your mind. I hope it opens your eyes, and I hope you do your own research. That's the goal of every one of my videos. Educate yourself more on whatever topic I'm covering. That's my hope for every video. And having said that, let's get into the first video.
With mental illnesses have been subjected to some truly appalling care over the centuries. Read like something out of science fiction, a probe inserted through the eye to sever brain connections, ushering in the terrible era of psychosurgeries and the lobotomy.
Roman flew combat missions during World War II, that he came home to worsening psychiatric symptoms, and that on July 1st, 1953, doctors from the Veterans Administration put him under and gave him a lobotomy.
Anyone with the following symptoms could benefit from a lobotomy: tension, apprehension, anxiety, depression, insomnia, suicidal ideas, hallucinations, crying spells, melancholia, obsessions, panic states, disorientation, psychalgia, nervous indigestion, and hysterical paralysis.
World War II mythology says American boys came home victorious, married their girls, and put the war behind them. Roman Tritz is evidence that wasn't always the case. The Wall Street Journal has found that the Veterans Administration lobotomized hundreds of World War II vets who had returned from overseas with serious psychiatric conditions. The Department of Veterans Affairs says it has no record of its lobotomy program, but musty files uncovered by the Wall Street Journal and the National Archives show that between April 1st, 1947, and September 30th, 1950, VA doctors lobotomized 1,464 veterans. The records show another 466 VA lobotomies outside that period, and it's likely hundreds of other vets went through the procedure before antipsychotic drugs came on the market in the mid-50s, revolutionizing mental health care. From a base in England, he flew 34 combat missions over enemy territory, dodging anti-aircraft fire and German fighters. He came home to Wisconsin at war's end with a clean bill of health from the Army. But in the late 1940s, Roman started hearing voices and acting oddly. It scared his family enough that in 1949, they had him committed to the VA hospital in Tomah, Wisconsin.
They gave me that gold darn insulin, you know, when I first got there, and put me on shock treatment.
Insulin coma and convulsive shock treatment succeeded in bringing back many sick people to good health. However, there were numerous patients who relapsed after shock treatment. Many of these patients can be further benefited by psychosurgery.
Operations can be performed under local anesthesia if the patient is sufficiently cooperative.
In 1953, A VA surgeon cut into Roman's skull and sliced the neural fibers in the front of his brain, an operation much like the one shown in this 1941 footage. At the time, the VA believed the treatment was the best hope for psychologically disturbed vets such as Roman.
Yeah, so holy tiny grape nuts, Batman. If this is what the treatment looks like when people are trying to help you and actually give two shits about your health, I don't want to even imagine what it looks like when that's not the case. I'm sure you don't either. Don't worry, you don't have to. No need to use your imagination in this video, guys. I got you. This is what it looks like.
Not only was plutonium potentially toxic, but as an alpha particle emitter, even a small quantity absorbed into the body could expose workers to dangerous amounts of radiation and long-term health risks like cancer. The health section researchers quickly realized that animal experiments were not enough. If they were to develop acute human models for plutonium absorption and excretion, they would have to experiment on actual humans. Test subjects could therefore not be told what they were being injected with or the purpose of the experiments, making informed consent impossible. Thus began one of the darkest chapters in the history of American medical science.
Then eat it! Excuse me? If it's not dangerous, then eat that, okay? Yeah, all right. Oh, you see that? His dick's flying off.
The first unwitting participant in the plutonium experiment was Ebb Cade, a 55-year-old black man working as a cement mixer at Oak Ridge. On March the 23rd, 1945, Cade sustained severe leg and arm fractures in an automobile accident and was admitted to Oak Ridge Hospital. There, medical section researcher Harold Hodge judged that as a well-developed, well-nourished, colored male, Cade was an ideal test subject and assigned him the code number HP12, H standing for human product. On April the 10th, Cade was injected with 4.7 micrograms of plutonium, and over the next 42 days, doctors collected samples of his blood, urine, and feces, which were sent to Los Alamos for analysis. He died of heart failure in April 1953 at the age of 63.
Was that not nefarious enough for you? Are you not entertained? If not, it's okay. We've got more. This is a list that stretches down the street and around the block. It's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And you want to know why people say that they do not trust the government. This is just one small reason why. Moving on. From 1942 until 1972, for 40 years they ran that program without getting caught. And then when they do get caught, then they disband it. So surely our government did not do anything else in the past as far as programs to take advantage of civilians or just Americans in general. If I had to guess, and I was a betting man, I would say those were probably just the only two that were going on. Don't you think that would be the only two that they would learn their lesson? Yeah, I kind of think that too. Moving on.
You feel the effects of the agent?
Everything's moving.
They had no idea what the drug was going to do to us. They just moved the monkey out of the way and put me in there behind him.
They hammered it into us. You cannot tell anybody about what you saw or what you went through, including your family.
This is Cold War, and that's when I was assigned. Cold War was at its height. The mission at Edgewood was to find a drug that would produce incapacitation to decrease the enemy's ability to perform without killing him.
Where are you, David? You know where you are? Can you say anything, David?
Motherfucker, I was wrong. Those two programs were not the last two programs, because I haven't even scratched the surface yet.
Ketchum didn't believe anyone got hurt.
I have hallucinations almost every night.
Feel it. Reaper!
And it's gone on since Edgewood.
The excerpts you have seen were intended to demonstrate...
I've got regrets about a number of things I've done
That would not apply to the work I did at Edgewood. I thought I did a pretty good job with that.
In the search for incapacitating agents, the chemical warfare laboratories are investigating a great many chemical compounds.
I was a young, naive soldier straight out of the tobacco fields of North Carolina. I saw flyers about going on this temporary duty project.
It was for medical research volunteers.
Take your seats, men.
They had a program at our theater on the base, and I went to see what it was about.
The guy got up and gave us a talk, said, you're going to be testing Army equipment. You know, at the other volunteer bases, testing gas masks, boots, or clothing.
And a whole bunch of good stuff on it about, you know, no KP, no guard duty, and every weekend off. And I said, oh, boy, that sounds really good. I said, I'll volunteer for that.
I was selected. I got a letter to report to Edgewood, Maryland. When I got there, it didn't have the appearance of a military base whatsoever. I really felt good about it. I said, well, this is gonna be nice. I'll be here 2 months, and I don't have, you know, nothing to do. Just go to do some testing of equipment. That was initially what we were told.
We got there, they said there's been a slight program change.
On behalf of the commanding officer and his staff,
We're gonna have a group of you
there's no need to be alarmed at the presence of these cameras.
not test weapons. We're gonna test other non-lethal combatant materials. So we said, fine, you know, we're here, we might as well do it.
And they took a picture of our group. 55 of us were there for 60 days.
You stopped off for ice cream. When the fuck did we get ice cream?